Good afternoon. This is Laura Belanger from the National Weather Service Atlanta office with your weekly weather briefing for the period beginning today, Thursday, September 8th. As far as the highlights go for this week, we are unfortunately expecting a wet weather pattern to continue through the weekend. Tomorrow, Friday, is expected to be the wettest of the days. And we do have a cold front that moves through late in the day on Monday with some welcome dry air returning to the state next week. And then beyond that, dry weather is expected to continue. For those who are interested in the Labor Day rainfall event that we had in Northwest Georgia, I did want to do a quick event review. We had some widespread 6 to 10 inches over portions of Chattooga and Floyd counties with some isolated amounts of 12 to 14 inches. Now, most of this did fall within a 12 to 18 hour period, and you can see just a selection of rainfall totals from backyard weather stations that were reported in the Chattooga County area there on the map, the highest being about 11.4 inches. Now, the chance of this occurring in a given year ranges between 0.1 and 0.2%. If you're familiar with hearing it in different terms, it would be equivalent to a 500 to 1,000 year event. Now, as far as the current conditions going across the area right now, we've got a good swath of tropical moisture there over North Florida and South Georgia, with some Q developing over portions of North Georgia. Now off into the tropics in the Atlantic, you can see we're watching one system there, Earl, and now in the Pacific, we're also watching K. Now those don't pose a threat to us now, but we are continuing to watch the tropics as they get a little more active than we've been seeing earlier this season. Now, as far as today goes, that tropical moisture that's there over North Florida into South Georgia, that's really going to allow some storms to kick off and really stay confined to those areas today. We could see some isolated showers or thunderstorms, north of that area, but we're not expected to see a whole lot. Now, the caveat with this one is this is just one model solution on what could happen today and into the overnight period tonight. So don't focus on the coverage, but just get an overall idea of kind of how things could evolve for the day. Now, as I mentioned, we are expecting sort of this active, wet weekend to continue into early next week ahead of a frontal passage. So right now, this is what's expected for today. So you can see those two tropical systems there off over the coast. And over our area, really that moisture is confined to central Georgia and South Georgia. Now, as we step forward into tomorrow, you can see that good area of moisture returns northward right along the Georgia-Tennessee line and then spreads into more of the southern states there. So that good swath of moisture is what's going to allow us to have some decent rainfall amounts again tomorrow, and that's going to be our wettest day. Now, the wet period does extend through the weekend, and so as we get into Monday, you can see that a lot of this moisture has moved off with just some residual remaining across the state. And then that blue line there is indicating where the possible cold front or the cold front possible location is. So again, this is just one model, but we are expecting that front to move through. And so this is kind of Monday afternoon, and then that would push into the state by late Monday night into early Tuesday. So fortunately for us, that does mean welcomed dry weather returns to the state. And so this is now Wednesday's forecast. Again, one particular model's depiction, but there's good consensus that dry air mass does return to the state and across a large portion of the southeast there on Wednesday. Now, as far as the actual chances of rain, for those who are interested, this is today. So again, highest chances are going to be there over the southern and central portions of the state with not a whole lot across North Georgia. So that's today. And then for tomorrow, we're expecting the 70 to 90% chance of rain, again, across a large portion of the state. This, again, is our rainiest day that we're we're anticipating. And now as we get into Saturday, slightly less there on Saturday, and then this is Sunday with just 60 to 70% chances. So now as we get into Tuesday, I wanted to kind of hone in on Tuesday here. Very early in the day, we'll see some chances of rain as the front continues to push down through the state. So it really lowers on Tuesday, and so that's the big thing to focus on as that drier air mass moves into the area. Now, as far as our actual rainfall amounts go, and I know that there's, particularly with the rainfall that we've been seeing over the last week, a lot of areas are still very wet or nearly saturated. And so I did want to hone in on this for a moment. And so this is the rainfall amounts for today. So any amounts really in North Georgia would be along the topography areas. Everything else should be generally south of I-20, with that main area confined to south of like Columbus to Macon, and even then we would only see a quarter to half an inch or so. Now, as we get into tomorrow, this is where we could see our higher rainfall totals. So even still, North Georgia, it's still generally a quarter to half an inch. Those darker blue colors there you see extending from Columbus to Atlanta up into the Helen area. That's half to 3/4 of an inch. And then the lighter blue colors there to the southeast are anywhere between 3/4 and maybe an inch and a quarter. That doesn't seem like a lot, but there could be some areas that see some locally higher amounts. And so I'm not sure how many of you have seen the expected probability of rainfall graphics that are available there on WPC's site. And so these are the rainfall amounts that you would expect to see be the kind of the highest total. So there's a 90% chance that rainfall amounts would be lower than what you're seeing here. And so you can see a large part of the state of Georgia is anywhere in those blue colors, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter, with your higher amounts there in Macon, Augusta, and southeast towards Savannah. Those areas are an inch and a half to 2 inches. So again, there's a 90% chance that you would have rainfall amounts lower than you would see here. So that's a really good sign for us. Now, as we get into Saturday, rainfall totals are really confined to closer to the South Carolina line, and that's more of the trend there. Now, so for days 4 and 5, the rainfall amounts, this is going to be Sunday into Monday. Our rainfall amounts are under 1/10 of an inch as that moisture continues to exit the state, and that welcome to dry weather returns. Now, as far as our forecast temperatures go, I selected just a handful of sites here, so you can see Atlanta is in the top left, Athens top right, Columbus lower left, and Macon is on the lower right. And once we have that cold front move through there on Tuesday, you can really see the temperatures, particularly your morning low temperatures, begin to drop into the low 60s in some areas. Parts of North Georgia could even see the upper 50s. And so again, a welcome peak at fall temperatures. And so I'm not sure there's going to be much complaining about that. Now, as far as the outlooks go, beyond this period here, the 6 to 10 day outlook, so that's September 13th through the 17th, we're showing below normal temperatures and below normal rainfall. So this dry pattern it is expected to persist there into that period. And then that continues into the 8 to 14 day period. Although we return to above normal temperature chances, the below normal rainfall chances are expected. Now, that 8 to 14 day outlook is not pictured here, but you can see it on the CPC website. And a quick recap on drought conditions. This persistent wet weather we've had recently has kept the map clear again this week, and at this time we are not expecting drought development across Georgia. Now, I mentioned the tropics earlier. You can see Earl there in the Atlantic. There's 2 other areas that we're watching just coming off the coast of Africa, and right now those are anticipated to stay out in the ocean, not impact any part of the United States. And then that little small graphic there in the top right, you can see the Pacific concerning areas, and so you've got K there with no other additional locations being watched at this time. Again, none of those really pose a big threat to the United States. So in summary, we are expecting this wet weather to continue through the weekend. Friday is expected to be the wettest day. The cold front moves through late on Monday with dry air returning to the state by midweek. And then through the week after, the dry weather pattern is expected to persist. If you haven't connected with us and need to, you can reach out to us in one of these ways listed on the left. And if you haven't also checked out our new decision support page, you can do that at that web address there, weather.gov/FFC/DSS. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.